Welcome back, lovely people, to the Sisterhood in Session podcast. I am so excited to chat to my guest today. She's a brand new connection for me. We're just getting to know one another. I know for a fact we are very much on the same page about a lot of things, which makes me really excited to delve a bit deeper. Spencer Moore, you are very welcome, my lovely.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor.
No, it's an honor for me, genuinely. I am so looking forward to sharing your story with everybody because it's pretty awe-inspiring for lots of reasons. So, before we go any further, would you just introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do now, and then we'll go back in time.
Yes, my name is Spencer Moore. I am based in Barcelona. I grew up in the States, and I'm a female health advocate. I run the Hairy Chin and I host the Hairy Chin podcast, which is teaching women advocacy skills.
And that's where we're very much aligned, and I'm very much looking forward to chatting about all of those kinds of things. The hairy chin just makes it makes me chuckle. So before we go back in time, just tell me did the name come from? Is it one of those light bulb moments, when you're thinking, I wonder what my business is going, yeah, what am I going to call? I know. How did you come up with the name?
Yeah, the name was an evolution, to be honest. So when I came up with this idea to do a health podcast, it was actually going to be called Chronically Creative, and it was going to be about managing chronic health and creativity and kind of how that all came out. And so I was really kind of fleshing out that idea and brainstorming how it was going to work. And I really just wanted something more health-based. I wanted it to be a bit more focused. And I was just kind of coming up with ideas. I was pivoting, which is always kind of scary when you pivot.
Yes.
And I started pivoting, and then I thought, well, I'll just think about some health names and see. And so when I was 19, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And, you get hair growth on your face, you get chin hairs. There are a lot of things that kind of happen to your body. And I was always very embarrassed by the chin hairs. And I was pointed out by a friend in a bathroom, and she was kind of like, "Oh, you
Oh.
have a chin hair," and it just gave me this, these seeds get planted deep sometimes,
Yes,
and
they do.
you know,
Sometimes it's better to just not say anything at all,
I know,
people.
I know, it
It's
is.
so,
But look, it happened, and actually, I'm glad it happened because it
yes.
really did kind of inspire this. And so, I really, the name really did bring out so much of the business for me because I wanted to spotlight. It just kind of came out, and I thought, oh, that's good. And then I
Yeah.
realized that there was kind of this rebellious side to the business where it was like, I'm gonna question things and I'm gonna shine spotlights on things that we're ashamed of as women.
Oh, yeah.
And so the name really helped me focus and kind of put me on a path.
Oh, I had to ask straight off the
Yeah.
bat because I have a habit of going off on a tangent with things, and then we'll get to the end, and then I'll go, thanks so much for joining me. And then I'll hit stop and go, I didn't ask her.
I
Obviously,
know.
it's such a great name. So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to exploring more about your journey, your story. So, where in time are you going to take us? Where are we going to go back to?
Let's see. I mean, I think that the main place to go back to is the year of my 40th birthday.
Okay.
I started mammogram screening that year just at the recommendation of my gynecologist, and my very first mammogram came back with early stage breast cancer. And I was just shocked. I
Yeah.
really was floored. And I think for me as well, I've had chronic health issues my entire life. I was a very sick child, and I've had a lot of operations and just really kind of chronic inflammatory disease. And I've already had a very sensitive, kind of fragile body. And then this happened at 40, and I was terrified. And I realized how uneducated I was. I had had the genetic screening done. I was BRCA negative, and I really didn't think that this would happen to me. I thought, well, if you don't have BRCA, then you're fine. And going down that spiral of education and realizing that there was so much more to learn,
Yeah.
I really felt like I really want to know more and help more. And so I found this foundation called the Know Your Lemons Foundation. It's a breast cancer prevention foundation, and they train women to be breast health educators. So I signed up for that because I thought, I have friends that are my age that are starting to get mammograms, and I just wanted to just learn more and help more.
Yeah.
And I started doing these breast health sessions, and I saw women change in front of me. It was just phenomenal. They would come to these sessions really terrified that they might hear something of a symptom of breast cancer that they might have. They kind of just didn't want to be educated because they were afraid. And they
Mm.
changed. By the end of the session, they knew how to do self breast exams. They wanted to teach their daughters and show their sisters. And it was just really beautiful. And I think honestly, a week or two after I did my first breast health session, I started brainstorming to do the podcast. It was such a quick turnaround for me of like, this is where I need to go.
Like a proper light bulb moment.
Exactly.
Can I rewind the clock a little bit further
Yeah.
back to you mentioned, being poorly as a
Hmm.
child. How did you were you curious as a child as to why you were so sick all the time? Your parents, were they exploring ways that they might be able to support you? Because it is a massive learning curve,
Hmm.
isn't it?
It is.
And our lifestyles, the kinds of diet we have, the
Yes.
exercise that we're involved in, it really does impact how these immune diseases play out. So, were
Yes.
you supported? Did you feel supported? Did you understand, or was it just something that you had to live with?
No, I was very supportive. I was very fortunate. I come from a medical family. My dad was a surgeon, my mom was a diabetic nutritionist, and my
Wow.
parents really did advocate for me in such amazing ways. Growing up, I had really severe ear, nose, and throat infections, really chronic sinusitis, and so I was in and out of hospitals and doctors' offices, and they kept doing all these surgeries to make my sinuses bigger and bigger, and they kept getting infected, and so it was just kind of they couldn't really figure out why I just couldn't get over these infections. And so,
Yeah.
my parents were relentless in trying to find help for me. And I mean, my mom dragged me to the ENT every week. I had to go and I had to check up every week, and they really fought for me. And I was very fortunate to have that because I found very good care. And when that first kind of phase of my health improved, then I kind of had other things come. I started getting really severe eczema. I had very severe depression at one point. All migraines came. So the ball rolled down the hill, but my parents gave me such a great foundation of knowing how to push and how
Yeah.
to say, I need more answers or I need other options.
Yeah.
I do think in my 20s it was quite a transition for me because I lived at home growing up. My parents were there. My mom made me my doctor's appointments. She would organize all my medical information for me. She was like an encyclopedia of everything that had happened, all the surgeries, all the medications. And in my 20s, I really had to take over the responsibility of that. And while I had this great foundation watching them do it, it's different when you start doing it. It's
Yeah.
really these skills that you have to develop.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that really shifted when I started really getting into female health advocacy because I realized women are never taught these skills. I mean, we
No.
don't know how to show up at a doctor's appointment prepared or how to push back.
It's, this
So
is,
yeah, that
I'm
affected
nodding
me.
away to everything that you say. Those that listen regularly will know, and I'm not sure if you know, the day job for me that I don't often get a chance to dip my toe into anymore is I'm a qualified menopause coach. So,
Yes,
um, everything that you're just sharing about, your journey and the obstacles that you had to overcome, it's all to do with our hormones, isn't it? And being
yes,
female and trying to figure stuff out because like you said, there's very little information given to us as we're growing up. We really have
yes.
to fight to understand our own bodies and the changes that are
Mhm.
happening, and it's a real process, isn't it?
It is a real process. And I think also there were so many things that happened when I was younger that nobody attributed to hormones and to me being female. So for
Yeah.
example, my eczema started when I went through puberty and it just got out of control. But nobody talked about the fact that my hormones and the estrogen flooding my body could be associated to my eczema. It was just, well, here's a topical steroid and out the door
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
And so there's just so many connections that I think have not been made for women
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. You have,
about our
yeah.
bodies.
You start to join the dots, don't you? As you get older,
Yes.
particularly, certainly for you, I would imagine, with, battling against so many different things. you do start to have to do some research, don't you? And
Yes.
this was the case with me, and that's how I ended up getting qualified. Was there were all these little red flags that were popping up
Yes.
all over the place, and I was like, this is this is not good. I need to know what's going on with me. I'm not enjoying this right now. And I have a background in health and wellness. I'm a qualified aerobics instructor and fitness instructor from back in the day. So when it came to my health and advocating for myself, I was like, right, I need to know how
Yes.
to support myself in the best way. And I would highly recommend that if you're listening to this right now and you're female, yes, of course, we've got amazing healthcare here in the UK. I know you're based in Barcelona, but here in the
Yes.
UK, we are very lucky that we have free healthcare. But sometimes it's not delivered in the best way or the most
Yes.
supportive way. So doing your own research, ladies, really getting to know yourself and know your body and what's right for you, is so important, isn't it?
It is, and I think that it's such a skill to even do those things because one of the reasons my first season of my podcast was interviewing experts about kind of a lot of different topics. I talked about migraines, hormones, lipedema, lots of different things. And at the end of almost every episode, it would be like, okay, here's all the information. Now you really need to go advocate for yourself.
Yeah,
And when I took the break to come back for my second season, I thought, but what does that mean, advocate for yourself? Because you can, there's so many different ways. I mean, connecting to your body is one way. That's one way you can advocate for yourself. Preparing for a doctor's appointment, learning how to communicate your symptoms. These are all ways that you can advocate, but they're like just kind of dumped into this big bucket of, well, this is what you need to do. You need to advocate.
yeah,
So I think that it's a skill set that you have to build slowly. And my perception is that it starts with the self, which I think is really hard for women. There's so many barriers
yeah,
to women connecting to their bodies, learning what the body is saying. I mean, that's really where it starts. And there's so much information out there,
yeah,
especially now. There's just massive information online. And so I think women are getting really confused of like, is that my body? Is that what my body's telling me? Is that what's
yeah,
happening? This person says that these are perimenopausal symptoms, so I must have that. But it's still that intuitive
yeah.
voice in us is very important to connect
Yeah.
to.
It is overwhelming, isn't it? And there are so many
Mhm.
crossovers. There are so many things where in your head you're going, well, it could be, but it also could be
Mhm.
this. And I'm not
Yes.
entirely sure because that is definitely going on. So I'm not I'm not so sure if this
Yes.
is related to that. And you
Exactly.
end up just going round and round in circles sometimes, don't you? Um,
Exactly.
but let's delve more into your story. So this is
Okay.
such an interesting chat because like I said, I don't often get a chance to get my geeky health and wellness hat on, and
Let's
chat
do
to
it.
someone that can really talk to me about it. So yeah, it's really lovely to be able to share that with you. But I am intrigued to find out more about you, and I want to know about your move to Barcelona. I have huge
Yeah.
affection for Barcelona. We've
Yeah.
visited a number of times, my husband and I'm not surprised at all that you've made it your home. So when
Yes.
did that come about and how did it come about?
It came about in 2016. So I've been here a little over 10 years. I was going through a transition at that time. I was ending a very long-term relationship, and I just really needed a change. I needed kind of something at that moment. I didn't really know what my next steps were going to be. And so I'm a lifelong creative. I'm a studio artist since I was very young. And my kind of bucket list dream, number one, was to come to Barcelona for art school. I'd never come here before. I didn't know anybody that had come here. I just kind of had this idea of like, oh, I'm going to go to Barcelona and go to art school there. And so I had found this intensive short-term art school program here, like 4 or 5 weeks, and it had been saved in my history, my bookmarks, in my computer. And I just one day thought, okay, I'm going to go back and find that school. Maybe I'll apply. So I did. I applied in maybe 2015, end of the year. And I saw that they started November of 2016. And I thought, well, okay, maybe that'll just give me some time to organize, figure out what I'm going to do. I applied, I got in, and they said, we can't wait to see you in January. And I thought, I mean, this was like beginning of November, perhaps. And I thought January because the date was European. So it was 11-1
Oh,
2016. And because I'm American,
you had
I
it the
thought
other
that
way
meant November
round.
1st.
Oh
But
my
it went January 11th. So I then said to my parents, my friends, like, well, I'm going to Barcelona in a few weeks. And they're like,
God.
why are you going to Barcelona? So I got packed, I got on the plane, and I was just a different person here. And I was kind of back to my roots of painting and being really creative and artistic. And my mom came to visit me the last week of my program, and we had this great week together, and we had seats to fly back together to the States. And I looked at her and I said, "I'm not going back." I said, "What do you mean that you're not going back?" I said, "I'm going to stay a little bit longer." So I stayed another month, and then I did go back home. And I just thought, I think my next step should maybe be spending some time there. And I've been freelance most of my life. I worked as a graphic designer and creative professional, copywriting and things like that. And so I had the flexibility to go over, and so I did. And that was
Oh,
over 10
what
years ago. I'm
what did
still here.
your it's I love it. That's it's totally a bit of me because I'm a real adventurer and I've done lots of traveling and I left home at 18 and got on a plane and just went
Yeah.
bye, see you later.
Yeah.
How what was the response from your family and your friends? Were they
I
supportive?
My friends, I think, were kind of like, well, that sounds like her. That's on track. I think my parents were a bit more kind of, what are you doing? And you're gonna leave and go to another country. Like I was actually, I'd never left the city that I grew up in until I was 27. I really thought that I would kind of always be there. So I really wasn't this big adventurer until I got a bit older.
Yeah.
And I kind of left the nest and I was like, wow, this big world's out there. I think they were a little skeptical, like, oh gosh, what's she doing? But then my mom came here and she said, I've never seen you like this. And I think this is really where you need to be. So
That's
it was
nice
nice.
because,
Hmm.
I think this, yeah, it doubles up in, when you're starting your own business, moving abroad, any big life changes,
Yes.
it has mixed responses sometimes, doesn't
Yes.
it, from the people that are closest to us. And we always think that our biggest cheerleaders are going to be those people, our close friends and our family are going to be going, go you, that's
Yeah,
amazing. And actually, sometimes it's the exact opposite.
it
And all
is.
they want to do is just keep you safe and look after you. And,
Yes.
I don't want you to go to the other side of the world because, quite frankly, it's an inconvenience because I've got to, I've got to come
It's true.
I've
It's
got
very
to come and
true.
visit you. But
Yes.
it's lovely that your parents looked at the opportunities that probably were going to present themselves from you
Yes.
following your dream, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So carry on the story then. So you moved to Barcelona, said goodbye to everybody you knew and loved, and then finished your course. And then what happened?
Yeah, and then so I finished the course, I went home, I came back and I applied for a visa. I did the whole visa thing. I got the visa. It was 2 years initially. So I thought, okay, I've got a couple of years to kind of see what happens here. And yeah, I just started evolving. I'm not really sure. Looking back now, it's interesting to think of me 10 years ago and what I was kind of doing. My dreams back then are so different than they are now. I
Yeah.
think I was just kind of flexible to see what was coming. Now, in a way, that's really scary because there's a bit of an instability of not really knowing. But I really did just kind of let things evolve.
Organically.
I was doing a lot of creative things. I started getting into audiovisual projects. I worked on a documentary with my husband, so that was really fun. I met my husband, I got married, and then we started working together on some projects. And
Is he
things
local? Is he Spanish
is
from?
he's from Barcelona, and yeah, so it just really evolved. And now I look back, especially with the work I'm doing now in the health advocacy space and with the podcast and the brand, a lot of what I did these past 10 years set me up to kind of lateral over into this type of business. So, sometimes you think like, oh, I don't have a direction and I'm not really sure what I'm doing. But all of these little skills that I learned over this time, I really have been able to use them
Yeah.
with what I'm doing. And that's been really nice to feel like I really was building something even though I didn't know it.
Uh, I have to ask you as well, because this is true for me, that I genuinely feel like the universe has our back all the time.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
things happen at times in our life when they're meant to. We're meant to meet certain people, we're meant to do certain things. Things might feel scary, like leaving the country you know and love and moving all
Yes.
those miles abroad. but you feel the pull. You feel like there's a reason behind it. Do you feel that way about things too?
100%. And I feel it, I think, like almost too much. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
same.
I'm really connected to that feeling. There was something about Barcelona that I was so connected to back in the day, years before I even applied for this art school. I just felt like there's something pulling me there.
Yeah.
And then eventually did, and it really did change my life. And I kind of think that my connection to that has probably made me moving here and building a life here so successful because I just really did feel it was kind of meant to be. And so I really just put my faith into the process of how my life would evolve here, if that makes sense. You
A
know, I just really,
100%. It
I,
blows my mind when I speak to all of you wonderful ladies and my own experience as well, the way things get orchestrated just in the way that they're
yeah,
meant to. And I
exactly.
say that about everything, whatever it might be, whether I'm holding a networking meeting or whether I'm having a podcast interview. I definitely believe that I cross paths with people, or
Hmm.
people are in a room with me, or online with me, and it's meant to be that collection of people or that particular moment in time for a reason, because things play out, and afterwards I go, that wouldn't have happened if so and so wasn't with so and so, or that,
Yes.
it wasn't playing out that way. I find it fascinating, and I am 100% all in with all with everything that you've just said. I,
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, I also think that it's timing. I mean, timing is really important just in life, but also in business. I mean, sometimes we want to rush things because we want to arrive somewhere, be somewhere. And for me, I've met people in the past that I think like, oh, that could have been a really good connection, but it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
And then I've waited, and now I've met people that have just blown open doors because the timing is really right.
Yes.
So there's a
Yes.
trust in that too, of it will come
Yes.
when it comes.
And do you think as well that as you get older, you get less? It sounds crazy because we're getting older, so time is more precious, but I'm in less of a hurry now than I was back in my 20s, 30s. I'm in my 50s now. And I talk about timing all the time. So I always say, if what we're talking about right now doesn't feel right, then that's okay, because it might be in a couple of months, it might feel right, or 6 months, or a year. And that kind of ties in with what we were just saying. I'm in so much less of a rush now. I do
Mhm.
believe that the universe will orchestrate it in the way that it needs to happen when the time is right.
Yes. No, I completely agree. I think that there's, and it's hard. I think you have to push back to have that perspective because especially when you go online to online spaces and kind of this quick fix culture, especially in the health world, I see it all the time that women want to be healed yesterday.
Yeah,
They want to lose weight yesterday. They want everything
yeah,
now. And
yeah,
it's the culture that we live in. And being able to just breathe and say it will come when it comes. It doesn't mean you
yeah.
don't have to work at it. It doesn't mean that you don't have to change things, but it will come when it comes. And having that faith is,
Yes.
I believe, pushing against the tide now. I mean, people just want it now.
Yeah,
But I
it's
do
much
really think,
nicer to just
yes,
relax and trust that the universe will work itself out in the way that it's meant
exactly.
to. So let's talk about the work that you're doing now, and let's talk about the
Sure,
hairy chin, which still I
sure.
just chuckle when I say it because it's just so brilliant. Um, Catch us up to speed. So you've spent a wonderful 10 years in
Yes.
Barcelona. So talk to us about the time frame for hairy chin, how that ended up coming about, and the work that you're doing now.
I will. Okay, so it's been about 2 years now, a little bit over. I launched the podcast in August of 2024. I started working on it earlier that year, and it's evolved. You talk about timing also. I mean, the timing of this work has just things have come when they were meant to come.
Yeah.
And I really did want to start the podcast and have it just blow up and be big and all of these things. And I'm so happy that it's been kind of a slow crawl because it's given me the time and the space to realize what I've wanted it to be and be more intentional about it instead of just rushing to make decisions to grow numbers or
Yeah.
to, do different things. And so yeah, the podcast launched in August 2 years ago. And
Did you
but
know, can I ask, did you know anything about podcasting before you went, I'm going to start a podcast?
no, I knew nothing about it. And I think I had this kind of false confidence that, well, My husband was in film. He was a film director. He's worked as an editor. I mean, he knows all of that. And so he taught me a lot about the editing programs. But yeah, I've been in Adobe for 25 years. I know the basics of how these programs work. I did have a company bring me to launch. So they did the first 3 episodes and they did kind of help me,
Nice.
focus on the idea. But podcasting is pretty pricey to get in there without, one, without really knowing what you want, and two, to outsource everything from the start is very expensive.
It
And I
is.
didn't want to do that because I wanted to know and grow as I went along. Um,
I can
and so,
identify with it, all of that because I was the same. I actually stumbled across a podcast challenge back 2 years ago in February, so it was 2024, and it was a 5-day free challenge that took you from novice to I could start a podcast, and
yeah,
she was really good. Fair play to it was a really good challenge, and I highly recommend. If you want to launch a podcast, to seek out someone that can help you, or to find, a
yes,
free challenge or a course or something that will give you sort of the basic knowledge. I did have a bit of a leg up in a sense that I used to be in radio. So,
okay,
in terms of editing, that kind of thing, that didn't phase me because I knew when the time came that whatever it was that I was looking at, I'd be able to go, oh, I know how to do that because I've seen it and
yeah.
done it before. But so it's definitely a learning curve, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It very much is. And I think for me, the biggest challenge has been wearing all the hats of doing all the work. As a freelancer, I mean, and the freelance experience definitely has helped me. I mean, I have to pitch the podcast, I have to get guests, I have to book them. It's, they're clients more or less that you're dealing with all these different people. But the marketing, the social media, the networking,
It's never
just
ending.
it never ends. And I think that also was very much this fate that it will come in time. Of I wanted all of it at the beginning. I wanted everything to be done perfectly and wrapped up in a perfect package at the
Yeah.
very beginning. And it's taken me 2 years and I'm still finding that flow, that workflow to get out
Ah,
what I want to get out. It takes
yeah.
time.
Honestly, everything that you're saying, I know every single business owner out there will identify with it because I think until you start your own business, you really underestimate
You do.
how much effort and knowledge goes into literally just running your business. Never
Yes.
mind you the expertise of whatever it is that you're niching down into. It's just the everyday stuff. It's
Yes.
the volume of the things that the wheels that have to turn to make you a fully fledged functioning business. Sorry if you're
Yes.
listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I really want to be a business owner, and you're listening to us and going, oh, do I? Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
you
But
do.
yeah, you need to do your homework, I think, be
Yes.
prepared. And also the other one is ask for help, because
Hmm.
as women, I think we do take a lot on our shoulders, don't we?
Yes.
And talking about sort of the health perspective as well, we're always bottom of the pile, always,
Mhm.
taking everything on, but also, that expectation of being able to do everything because, your family thinks you're perfect, you know all your stuff, you know how to do this, you know how to do that. But actually, when it comes to business, you have got to start from scratch, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. And I think the if I look back over the past few years of doing this, I think the biggest misstep I took at one point was I hired somebody to kind of help me with strategy and with figuring out how to manage that workflow, but I didn't really know what I needed or what I wanted at that time. And so it just became the dog chasing the tail because it
Yes.
wasn't clear. And I just didn't have that clarity. I wanted it then. I didn't put in the time to really say, where's my North Star? And so I was working with somebody for a few months and we were just trying to figure it out. And it really wasn't working out the right way. It wasn't quite, we weren't going forward. And
Yeah.
so that was my biggest issue was I did ask for help, but
It
I
wasn't
didn't
the
have the
right help at the
clarity to
time. Yeah.
delegate it. And I think that's really important when you're building a business is yes, you do need to outsource because not all the hats will fit and you do need help. However, have it clear what you need
Yeah.
outsourced and how you can explain it. You can't have somebody come in and write your social media content for you if you can't explain to them exactly what your business is about and what your tone is and your voice and these
Yes.
types of things. And so
Yes.
I
This is
did
such
find
great
that
advice.
challenging.
Yeah, it is such great advice. So I've only just in the last few months started working with a business strategist. I'm going to shout her out 'cause she's amazing, Jen Lister. And I'm almost 4 years in to the
Hmm.
Sisterhood networking group. And exactly what you've just said, if I'd have brought anyone in before then, I think it would have been way too early. And
Hmm.
yeah, we would have found ourselves floundering a little bit.
Yes.
I think you do have to, yeah, have your clear messaging, know who your ideal client is, have
Yes.
things sort of moving along in the right direction before you can bring in someone that can really help you
Exactly.
fast track things. Because that's why I've brought Jen in to help me. So that's really good. That's really good advice. So the podcast. Talk to me more about the hairy chin and how, yeah, what it's all about, who it serves, and what we can all
Sure.
get out of it.
Sure. So, like I said earlier, I just really didn't feel like there was a lot of direction for women to advocate for themselves. And growing up with such medical, family members around me, and also with all of the medical issues that I went through, I realized that, wow, I have so many skills for how I prepare going in to see a specialist. I spent 2 days one time because you talk about public health care in the UK, and we have public health care here in Spain. It's wonderful, but it is very slow. So when you go into an appointment, that's your shot. You might not get a follow-up appointment for 6 months, and you really have to take every moment of that appointment and show up prepared. And I think that really does translate around the world. I mean, the United States, we know that healthcare is really broken in a way, and the 15-minute appointments is kind of the thing that everybody talks about of the doctor has 15 minutes for you and that's it.
Yeah,
And so you
yeah,
really do need to know how to go in there and say, I have this symptom. It happens this frequently. It is causing this issue in my life. These are the tests that I've had done. These are the medications I take. Just really clear. And I do think it changes the way that women are received by the physicians because they come in there and they have all their information, and the doctor says, wow, this woman is really, organized
yes,
and wants to have things move forward for her health. I will never say that it's ever a woman's fault if she's dismissed or if she is, she leaves an appointment without feeling like she has the clarity she wants, because I have left probably dozens of appointments in tears because I go in and I say what I need to say, and the doctor doesn't listen, or I get shut down. And that's really what fuels me to do this work. And so
it's
what
amazing.
my work really does is I have advocacy episodes where I explain this is how you prepare for an appointment, or I explain the words that help women describe their pain. I did one recently about traveling abroad. And so, looking at what do you need if you're traveling and there's a medical emergency, because the statistics are that 50% of people have a medical issue when they're traveling. So, how do you prepare medically if you're going, to the United States from Europe or vice versa?
Yeah,
Um, I call it kind of advocacy in action, like
yeah,
practical skills to advocate. And then I also talk to experts and doctors and I ask them, what do they need from their side of the desk? When a woman walks into their appointment, how can she be clear about what symptoms she's presenting, or what questions can she ask in your specialty? And then as well, I have episodes where I just talk to women about their experiences because women need to share their stories, and they
yes.
like to. I find if you ask a woman, tell me about you, tell me about your lived experiences, that it's like a weight off of her shoulder.
Yeah.
And I think we all need that.
Yeah, it's empowering, isn't it?
Hmm.
And also reassuring to know that you're not on your own. I think that's the
Yes.
thing, certainly as far as your menopause journey is concerned, is that
Yes.
when you're in it and experiencing all this crazy stuff, you feel like you're the only person in the world that's
Exactly.
going through it all. And obviously, we all know that that's not true, but it can feel quite isolating and lonely. And also, we're British, us gang over here. We're not very good at talking
Right.
openly about stuff. We've grown up with very little information being given to us. Previous generations, my mum never talked to me about anything. I had to find out about
Yes.
periods in the school playground.
Hmm.
And I think that's true. You know, my generation in our 50s, that's probably true of a lot of us. That yeah, we just didn't have those open, honest conversations. So, you know, you presenting all of this information in such a lovely way that people can access, listen to, it means a lot because, yeah, as you've said, you can go into a doctor's surgery, you've got 10 to 15 minutes for them to get to know you, figure out what on earth it is that
Mhm.
you're trying to tell them, and then come up with a solution that's fit for purpose
Exactly.
and relative to whatever it is that you're trying to explain. And neither, it's not easy for either side, is it? You know, we're up
No.
against it in every sense.
Yeah, and I do really believe that, if we strip everything down, it's the patient and the doctor that makes the equation of healthcare. And we both have to show up. It's not the patient's fault, it's not the doctor's fault. It's about communication and clarity and understanding what the goal is. When you go into a doctor's appointment, what is the goal? And managing expectations of what you're going into. What you said about, isolation, it's so shocking to me when I talk to women, and there's so much information out there, and there are a lot of communities, and there's so much more access than there have been in the past. I mean, I grew up without the internet. I think I was, I was like dial-up internet
Me
for
too.
most of my younger years. And so we definitely, I mean, I was the Encyclopedia Britannica was what I would use to
Go
write
to
my
the
papers in high
library
school.
and find it out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So there's so much opportunity now for connection, and women still feel so isolated and alone because every environment is different.
yeah,
Maybe you have a family member that totally gets what you're going through and calls you after every appointment, or maybe you don't, and
mm,
maybe you just don't feel supported. And so it's not that you have a lack of information or a lack of knowledge, you have just a lack of people understanding in your circle what
yeah,
you're going through and empathizing.
yeah.
So, anytime we can relieve some of this from people and from women, I think it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, it really does. Yes, seeking out and finding your tribe,
Our
whether that's
tribe.
the business tribe, because I'm all about that,
Yes.
obviously. The Sisterhood Networking Group is all about finding a supportive tribe of women who are going through similar experiences in business and want to be able to share. But also finding your tribe in terms of, figuring out your health and wellness journey, which is
Yes.
obviously where you come in. So
Yes.
we are almost out of time, unbelievably. It's like whizzed along.
Yes.
But what does the future hold for the hairy chin? If you are picturing sort of yourself in 2 years, 5 years time, do you have a clear picture of the direction you want to go in, or are you very much organic growth? Let's see what happens. Let's see where I end up.
Yeah, I think I have some goals. I definitely want to foster more of a community because I do think that is so important for women, like I said, that, to break down that barrier of isolation. But I'm leaving it a bit fluid. It's changed so much in the past year. And I think if I'd really pushed against it changing, then it wouldn't become what it is now. And I'm very happy with really niching into where I am with the skills of advocacy. So I have trust that if I let it breathe a bit, then it will continue going where it's going. I know I'm on the right track. I
Yeah,
have faith to just not push too much to get off that track. But yeah, it is, I'm starting to do more. I'm networking more. I'm making connections. I'm now doing a lot more public relations, and that feels really nice. So I'm not really sure where that's going to lead me because this is kind of a new phase for me.
yeah.
I am a writer. I've been a writer my whole life, so I definitely would love, a book at some point. But I'm kind of just letting things go and evolve.
Letting it ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Visibility for us as business owners is a topic that comes up often on
Yes.
here, putting ourselves out there. So, we can talk all day long about our businesses and, what's involved, how people can work with us, what they're going to get. But actually presenting ourselves to the world and
Yes.
going, hey, this is me. That's a learning curve as well, isn't it?
It
So you
is.
mentioned PR. Is that something that you're dipping your toe into right now?
I did. I joined a PR group, and I'll plug her because she's wonderful. Carol Driver. She's in the UK, and she's amazing.
She is
She was the
amazing.
editor at Female, yes,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy being able to work with her. And it has given me a new light on myself and clarifying my message and having the confidence to go out and say, this is the work that I'm doing, and I would love to be a part of your publication or your work. It really is this next level that it brings you to.
Yeah.
I'd mentioned to her at one point that I felt kind of imposter syndrome of putting myself out there, and she said, "Get over it." It was really clear. Just
I
get
can
over it.
totally relate to that as well, though. I
Yeah.
think there isn't a business owner across the world that doesn't, particularly as things start to pick up. I think that's when it
Yes.
starts to kick in. It's not at the beginning necessarily, it's actually as your business starts to build, and then you start going, who even am I to be doing this? Because
Yes.
I get that myself all the time. It's that, sitting in the middle of that fear of success in one direction and then the fear of failure in another direction. And you're right bang in the middle thinking, what is going on?
Yes.
But it's a really exciting time. And I've got huge affection for Carol. She is amazing at what she does.
She
And
is.
I know that yeah, that get over it. That I can hear, I can literally hear her
Yeah.
saying that to you. But it's so
Yes.
exciting, isn't it, when you do start to get a little bit of interest, and
Mhm.
people start to listen to what you've got to say, that you're a real expert in your field,
Yes.
and you have every right to put your hand up and go, "Hey, come and listen to me."
Exactly. It's very exciting. And, I've been working with her on the media bio. And that really is exciting when you start really putting the whole picture together
Yeah.
of this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. And it takes confidence, but it also gives you so much confidence
Yeah.
to have that ready and to reach out to people. It's been a really
Yeah.
exciting time.
It's quite cathartic as well, isn't it? I
Yes.
find, and also reflecting on how far you've come. That's another
Hmm.
thing that we're not very good at.
Yes.
Women definitely, but business owners in general, we're constantly in our businesses thinking, what's next? What's next? How can I do this? How can I do that? And actually stopping and taking stock sometimes. We're not so good at that.
It's
So
true.
creating that media bio, which we should all have, by the way. If you do not have one, highly recommend checking Carol Driver out because she can help steer you in the right direction.
She
Um,
can.
but yeah, making sure that you get all of those details down and really reflect on how far you've come because life is a journey and certainly as a business
Very much.
owner, cataloging it all and reading it back, you go, wow,
Exactly.
I'm really impressive.
Exactly. It's true.
It
I
is
mean, the
true.
self-doubt is real.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is challenging. It's very rewarding. I am so happy that I am where I am and that I'm on this path. But it does, there are some really good days and there's some really hard days where you think, I just need to give all this up and go go get a 9 to 5 job. And I'm
Uh,
fortunate to have a very supportive husband who says, keep going. Just it's not the best
uh,
day. Tomorrow will be new. Keep going. And
oh,
it's
that's
nice to
really
have
nice
that
to hear.
in my
That's really
ear.
nice to hear. Yeah, having the support of the person that you're closest to, that
Yeah.
means, and that can be a roller coaster ride as well, because certainly as far as my husband is concerned, in the early days of my entrepreneurial journey, he's like, "What's she doing now?" And okay, all right, okay, yes, good luck with that. And and like rinse and repeat a few times because
Right.
entrepreneurial stuff is not easy and there's quite often
No.
do-overs. But now he's totally on board and exactly what you've just said.
Yes.
He's like, no, come on. And I brainstorm things with him. He's a really good sounding board for me, as I'm sure your
Yeah.
partner is as well. So it is nice to have someone close to you that you can confide in, whoever that might be. It might not be your husband, it might be a best friend or someone in the
Yeah.
business world that you can offload to. Because as we said,
Exactly.
ups and
Yeah, and I
downs.
think also even if you don't have that person in your inner circle, now there are these really great groups, like there are these, PR groups, and a lot of people are offering these communities where you can go and get support,
Yeah.
like your community. I mean, th this is where you can go and bounce ideas and get that support from other women that are in your same path. I think
Yeah.
that's a really
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah, it doesn't. You
beautiful
might be a
option.
solo business owner, but you don't have to do it on your own. That's the thing.
Exactly.
And
That's
that's a
right.
nice way to round things up before I ask you my two questions.
Sure.
I've had such a lovely chat with you. Thank you so much. It's been Yeah, it's been really lovely, like I said, to dip my toe into the health and wellness chat, which I do miss and don't have
Yeah,
as much time as I would like to, yeah, to explore. So it's been really lovely chatting to you.
it has been.
So my two questions, Spencer, for you are, is there one thing that you wish you'd known before you started up your business?
We touched on it a little bit earlier, and I believe that I wish that I had known that there wasn't such a timeline, and I wasn't pushing so hard to arrive somewhere. Because now looking back, I see that you don't ever really arrive anywhere. You just kind of get to these next steps, and then you kind of reevaluate and you keep going.
Yes.
It's much more of a just keep going journey than it is to say, well, I'm going to get
Evolving
here.
rather than
Right.
pushing. I think that's a really lovely way to look at it. I think it's important to know where you're headed, but the
Yes.
time frame that's needed to get you to that place, it'll take as long as it takes.
Yes.
And I think it's nice to be able to be flexible with that and to not put
Exactly.
pressure on yourself. You can set yourself goals, but I look at them as goalposts that you can move
Exactly.
rather than, set things in place because then you're not letting yourself down, are you? You're not thinking, oh, well, I didn't do that or I didn't achieve that in time or and a lovely organic flowing journey is
Yes.
much nicer, isn't it? I totally agree.
Yes, and it's kinder because this type of work, you have to wear so many hats. And if you feel like you're not good at all of them, which is the way it will be, nobody can be good wearing all the hats, then
Exactly.
it does feel like a disappointment. And so I think removing that timeline and that pressure of saying, I will figure this out in time, it will come, I think I know it's helped me a lot moving
Yeah, I love
forward.
that. I love that. And have you got a final top tip that you can leave us with?
My top tip would be to trust yourself, because you touched on it a minute ago. I was saying, when I started this, my husband thought, what is she doing? And I think that, not everybody is going to understand what you're doing and what your goals are and where you're going, but really have that North Star for you and just stay focused on it. Because
Yeah.
as much as your friends and family love you, they may say, oh my gosh, what is this person doing? And don't let that affect you.
Yeah.
Just trust that you know what is right for you and stay on that path.
I totally agree with that as well. Staying in your own lane, not just from, the possible negativity that you might get from
Mhm.
those around you, but also from what you can see other people doing,
Yes.
other businesses, you're like, oh, what's she doing? Should I be doing that? And oh, hang on a second. She's doing that now, and that sounds really good. Maybe I should add that in as well. And then all of a sudden you're completely overwhelmed going, well, if I introduce all of that, then I'm not quite sure what I'm doing now, where my business is headed. So it is just having the nerve, I think,
Yes.
to stay true to yourself. Like you say, find that North Star, keep it in front of you. Try not to waver. I think you can always keep learning, but try not to
Yes.
deviate off from that path that you set out in the
Yes.
original idea that
Yes.
you had of your business. Yeah.
Yes, I do. One of the things that I did, and it was a worksheet that I'd gotten from somewhere, and I don't remember where, but she said when I was trying to clarify my message, she said, "What are the things that you know you don't want?" And that was such a great exercise for me, and it really did give me the know-all of this is not what I want to do. I don't want to be this type of person. I don't want it to be this type of business, and that really did help me trust. Okay, I know what I want for this, and I've stayed on that path.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it helped.
Not just about, all the things that you really want, but the things that you're not willing to put up with too.
Exactly.
That's really, this is all really good advice. Thank you so much. It's flown by, honestly.
It has.
Could have chatted to you for the rest of the day, but we do have to say goodbye. And before I let you go, could you just let everybody know if they want to search you up, come and find you online, where do they need to go?
Yes, of course. So you can find my podcast. It's on all the podcasting platforms, the Harry Chin Podcast. You can find me on my website, theharrychin.com. I also have an Instagram account. It's the.harry, the.harry.chin. You can find it if you search the Harry Chin.
It's a
And yeah,
nice, easy name to remember, and probably,
it
I
is.
would imagine, fairly unique in its own right. So if we just
Yes,
type in Hairy Chin, you're just
that's
going to
right.
come up everywhere, aren't you?
I hope so. That's the
Ah,
goal. Yeah.
Spencer, thank you so much. Before I let you go, how are you now? Are you the final thing to ask? Are you well?
Sure.
Everything good in your world?
I appreciate that. health is like business. It's a journey. And some days are easier than other days. I'm now going through perimenopause, and so that, is
Fun
it's a
times,
lot
fun
of fun.
times.
Lots of weird things happening to my body, but I am aging, but I enjoy aging. I really do. I think it's beautiful,
It's a
what
gift, isn't it?
women,
Every day is a gift as you get
it really
older.
is.
It's not taking those days for granted, appreciating all the little things.
Yes.
I am wishing you well on the peri
Thank you.
journey. It's
I
sadly in most
appreciate that.
cases is long and yeah, varied. Let's just use that word. Uh,
Yes, it is. But it's a
uh,
journey, and that's what it's meant to be.
It is, it
Yeah.
is. And like we said, privileged to be able to experience it. So
Yes.
thanks once again. Wishing you all
Thank
the
you.
best. And I will look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.